Diddy will go to prison for life, people. You don't know things that I knew about Diddy back in the day, and you want to know what? It's about time, people. It is about time.
There's no protocol for what's about to happen. The world is going to crumble when they see this next arrest. In the meantime, there's going to be deaths, distractions, and fires to hide evidence. Watch for it, ask questions, demand answers.
There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come.
And as far as Diddy will go to prison for life, people. You don't know things that I knew about Diddy back in the day. And you want to know what it's about time, people. It is about time. There's no protocol for what's about to happen. The world is going to crumble when they see this next arrest. In the meantime, there's going to be deaths, distractions, and fires to hide evidence. Watch for it, ask questions, demand answers. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams. And she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such, and now it's all come full circle. Law didn't just burn, it was torched on purpose, and Wendy Williams just dropped the kind of receipts that could make everything we thought we knew about these fires look like a cover-up. She's exposing how Diddy's secret list of powerful connections wasn't just about money and influence, it was about covering up something much bigger. If what she's saying is true, these fires weren't just disasters, they were distractions. Los Angeles wildfires are nothing new, but this one is feeling a little too convenient, like we've seen wildfires rip through SoCal before. But this time it's different, it's strategic. This thing moved with precision, like it had a damn blueprint of exactly where to hit. Entire communities wiped out, over 200,000 people were displaced, at least 28 lives lost, more than 12,000 buildings are gone, and the way it targeted some of the most expensive real estate in law was suspicious at best. Even the Hollywood elite weren't safe. We're talking multi-million-dollar estates belonging to Julia Louis-Vuitton, Bella Hadid, and Jeff Bridges. Jamie Curtis broke down on The Tonight Show, trying to wrap her head around how her entire neighborhood was erased overnight, her kids' schools, the local grocery store, the homes of everyone she's known for years. Nothing but ash. Zoe and Emily Dezel went full nostalgic on Instagram, grieving their childhood home which had been standing for generations. Joshua Jackson, John Vidman, Anthony Hopkins all lost their properties too, and it wasn't just scattered houses getting torched. The fire came for the wealth, but now people are starting to ask the real questions, because at this point, it's not just a natural disaster. It's a mystery. Let's start with the insurance companies. These companies have been pulling out of fire coverage in California for years, canceling policies and leaving thousands of homeowners with nothing, no coverage, no options, and now conveniently everything is up in flames. So what, they just knew this was coming. Oh, and guess whose name just had to pop up in the mix? Diddy, because at this point, is there anything shady happening in Hollywood that his name isn't attached to? The same Diddy whose drowning and trafficking racketeering allegations is now being dragged into a literal firestorm. There's a wild theory floating around that these fires might not just be about land grabs or negligence, but about burning up evidence that could allegedly tie him and his elite circle to things way darker than what's already been exposed. And let's talk about the water situation real quick, because last time I checked, water is kind of important when you're trying to put out a fire. So why were California's water reserves being drained and restricted before this even happened? Like, is someone just bad at their job? Or is there something more going on here? Because if you connect the dots, it starts looking a little too convenient. Maybe it's about power, maybe it's just straight up greed. But if you still think this is just a random wildfire, you might want to start paying attention, because here's the thing: some celebrities lost everything, but then you've got the ones who walked away miraculously untouched. Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Oprah, Ashton Kutcher, Leonardo DiCaprio, not even a scorch mark. And that's when people really started side-eyeing the situation. And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, let's talk about Ali Carr. If you've never heard of her, let me introduce you to the woman who's been trying to blow the lid off Hollywood's darkest secrets for years. She's been saying for a long time that there's an entire underground trading network run by some of the most powerful people in the industry. According to her, she was a victim of it herself, and she's been trying to get people to listen. And here's where it gets real crazy. Back in October, she literally warned that disasters like fires would be used to cover up evidence. And what kind of evidence are we talking about? Well, let's just say the kind that nobody wants to get out. She claims the FBI found underground tunnels at Diddy's house. There are underground tunnels that are under the schools, elementary, junior, and high schools all over the place. They exist everywhere. They lead to amusement parks, they lead to hospitals, cemeteries, schools, celebrity homes, psychic shops, they lead everywhere. Yes, there's every means of Transportation, there's every walk of life, there's cities, there's different air supply, there's and what was supposedly inside things that would make your stomach turn, baby oil, a hidden escape route that seemed custom made for sneaking people in and out without a trace. And now just months later, places connected to Hollywood's biggest secrets are mysteriously going up in flames. The timing is way too convenient. I'm telling you right now that something is really wrong, really. WRW, the world will find out soon, because it's not just about us, it's about you too. It's not going to be enough until it is very personal. The earthquakes and the disasters and the things, if you don't understand, they're organized. If there's another person who's been trying to warn us about Diddy for years, it's Wendy Williams. And let's be real, she was basically punished for it, fired, blacklisted, threatened. He did everything short of making her disappear, but despite all the roadblocks, Wendy never backed down. And looking back now, she was saying a lot before people were ready to hear it. We all know Wendy hasn't been doing well. She's been off the radar, her health has been in shambles, and people have been wondering what's really going on. But now she's back, and she's talking, and when Wendy talks, people listen. Back in the 90s, Wendy was that girl in radio, unfiltered, messy in the best way, and absolutely fearless. Meanwhile, Diddy was rising to power with Bad Boy Records, controlling hip-hop's biggest names like a puppet master. At first they had this weird frenemies thing going on. She played his artist on air, but she also talked her talk. Then in 1998, Wendy took it too far for Diddy's liking when she started pushing rumors that he was secretly into men. Now, whether that's true or not, hip-hop in the late 90s was violently homophobic, so this wasn't just gossip, it was a career-ending type of talk. And Diddy, wasn't about to let that slide. Allegedly, Wendy had gotten her hands on a very questionable picture of Diddy. He was on vacation in Cancun when someone yanked his swim trunks down, and let's just say, it wasn't giving just a prank. The photo got sent to Wendy, and she was planning to put it on blast. Puff got one of the hottest DJs off of Hot 97 because she wanted to put up a picture of him, but before she even got the chance, she got fired from Hot 97 just like that. Diddy flexed his industry muscle and basically blackmailed the entire station. He made it clear that if Wendy wasn't gone by the time he got back to New York, Hot 97 would never get another song from him or any of his industry friends. That's how much pull he had, and just like that, she was out now. Most people would have learned their lesson and stayed quiet, but Wendy, she doubled down. There was a radio personality once upon a time, her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle. She kept calling out Diddy, and instead of trying to shut her up with more industry threats, he switched up his tactics. He allegedly sent his girl group Total to jump her outside the radio station. Yes, you read that right, a whole R&B group waiting to beat her up in broad daylight. Wendy later recounted how she stepped out of the building and saw the group standing there hyped up and ready to go, while her own co-workers watched from the windows like they were waiting for a live episode of Love and Hip Hop if it wasn't for her then boyfriend pulling up just in time. Who knows what would have happened, but let's fast forward a bit, because Wendy never really let go of her Diddy obsession. In 2013, she brought up how hip-hop was full of closeted men back in the day, and she very clearly alluded to Diddy, saying that some rappers had multiple kids just to prove their manhood. She wasn't lying either. Diddy has 7 by 2015. Wendy started putting 2 and 2 together when it came to Diddy's power over women, and she literally predicted the same controlling behavior that Cassie later described in her lawsuit, how he would allegedly DR her, isolate her, and force her into disturbing situations. Looking back, Wendy was screaming the warnings, and nobody took them seriously. Then in 2017, in the most awkward moment of all time, Diddy actually went on the Wendy Williams show to fake squash the beef. It was weird. Wendy, who once got run out of New York because of him, was now sitting across from him smiling and nodding while he buttered her up. The way she moves, like when I look at her, the way she smiles, the way I see her look at me sometimes when I wake up and she's already awake. You know, he called her a pioneer of hip-hop journalism, acted like he respected her, and did his usual smooth talking. The whole thing felt like he just wanted to keep her close so she wouldn't get too bold. When Cassie finally broke free in 2018, Wendy dragged Diddy, she said. Cassie wasted her time with a man 17 years older who treated her like a possession, and she wasn't wrong. Now, with Diddy facing